Good evening, everyone. We really appreciate the prayers for Julie and I through this time as we've struggled with COVID-19, and the Lord is answering prayers, and we're feeling better, and we're so grateful for that. In fact, the Bible verse that I want us to think about tonight for our devotion is Psalm 34:8, which says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good, and blessed is the person who takes refuge in him." Now, of course, when David wrote this, and he says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good," he's talking about opening up your life so that you can experience God's presence in your life, to give him a try, allow him to work in your life, and open yourself up to begin to recognize God's working in your life. Kind of the humorous side of me during this time, since we lost our sense of taste and smell, is I thought about that verse, and I'm like, well, how can you taste and see the Lord is good if you don't have a sense of taste or smell? But honestly, here's what the Lord directed me during this time is, even though I couldn't taste or smell food, I still needed to eat it to give me nourishment for my body. In fact, there were people that dropped off some soup for us, and the first day I was able to taste it. Soup was delicious, but the next day I totally lost all sense of taste. And so, though I could no longer taste the soup, I needed to have those nutrients in my body, and I needed to eat. And here was the thing. As we looked at that soup, we knew the ingredients. We saw the chicken, we saw the noodles, we saw the carrots, we saw the vegetables for the vegetable soup, and we saw the beef in it. So we knew the nutrients were good, even though we couldn't taste it. We still needed to get it in our body so that our body could get that nourishment from that food. And in fact, it still felt good to eat that food even though we couldn't taste it, because we felt it going into our stomachs. We felt our sense of hunger being satisfied, and it made us feel better, and it sustained us. Now, here's what I'm saying about Psalm 34:8. Taste and see that the Lord is good, and blessed is the person who takes refuge in him. Satan comes along just like this virus, this COVID-19 thing, and he tries to impact our spiritual sensibilities. Satan tries to dull our spiritual awareness, and he tries to prevent us from really tasting or experiencing God in the way that we need to. And what we need to understand is we need to continually feed on the presence of Christ, the teaching of Christ, the word of Christ. So even on those days when maybe you're doing devotions or listening to some of these devotions, and maybe you feel like you can't quote unquote taste it, it still is good nourishment for your soul. And you need to have that to continue to sustain you spiritually. And so we need to keep feeding on the Word of God, even on those days when maybe we feel like we're not getting a lot out of it. We need to stay with it, because God's Spirit works through His Word to sustain us spiritually in ways that we can't fully comprehend. And as He makes us strong, eventually we do get that taste back. And thankfully, Julie and I are both starting to get our taste back now. And so I just want to encourage you tonight, stay with the Word of God. Continue to do whatever you can to stay connected to the Lord through this time. I know it's been frustrating for all of us to feel the sense of separation and the lack of normalcy in what we've been used to. But God is with us, and He still promises to sustain us. And we still have that promise, and we are blessed if we take refuge in the Lord and not refuge in something else. So I just want to encourage you again tonight, to taste and see that the Lord is good, because He is good. And even on those days when maybe you don't feel His presence quite as close, or you feel like you can't taste Him, so to speak, like you'd like to, still feed on His Word and stay close to Him, because He is providing that spiritual life and nourishment that you need. Because the things of this life is temporary, but God is eternal, and He has a plan for all of us beyond this life. So trust Him, take refuge in Him, and you will find blessing and peace, not only now, but forevermore. God bless you.